Okay, so there was always a question that I was bothered by regarding sukkahs. Sukkahs, we have two main mitzvahs that are known. One is the sukkah, and the second mitzvah is the mitzvah of the dalin minim, of course. So the Yerech Moadim in the Drush at Maimer Mem Aleph has a beautiful piece on an Aruch LaNer which I learned many years ago. Right? Let's just go backwards for a little bit. When it comes to sukkahs, the Torah in Parshas Emor, if you take a look in Parachav Gimel over there, in Pasuk Mem, around that area, talks about first the Lakachtim Lachem B'Yom Rishon Pri Yitzadar, couples tomorrow, Manav, etc. Talks about the Dalin Minim first, taking the lul of the esrog, all of the Minim. That's what gets discussed first. Afterwards, it says over there, the pasuk says, "Besukkos teishu shel yamim." You stay in sukkahs. So first dalin minim, then sukkahs. Why sukkahs? L'manid dersechem, etc. That whole discussion which we learned about in the past. So they ask an obvious question. The beginning of Maseches Sukkah consists of 5 prakim. The first 2 prakim deal with the halachas pertaining to the sukkah. The third and the fourth parak deal with the halachas pertaining to the dalin minim. Why the inconsistency? Why in Chumash is sukkah first, but is dalin minim first in Chumash, whereas conversely in the Gemara itself in the Mishnayos, it's the opposite. Sukkah is first. That's the question that I was been bothered about for a long time.
Is it Belinsky?
No, this is the Rabbi Elshon, is the Yerushalayim. But he doesn't ask this question. This I already learned. The Aruch LaNer already talks about it in the beginning of Sukkah. Take a look over there. Let me first ask this kasha. What's the pshat over here that it's out of order like that? Right? The Rambam, let's extend this kasha. The Rambam first has the halachas of Sukkah, and then only afterwards discusses the halachas of the Daled Minim. Also, if you take a look in Torah Shulchan Aruch, first comes the halachas of Sukkah, and then Daled Minim. So why is it that everyone under the sun is going opposite than what's in Chumash? Chumash, it has Daled Minim first and Sukkah, whereas the Gemara, the Mishnah, the Rambam, the Torah, the Shulchan Aruch, they all put Sukkah first. Why is it? Bam kasha. So the Aruch LaNer, you take a look at the first Aruch LaNer in Sukkah, he deals with this. And his attempted answer is as follows. Yesh Laimar, there's a quote from the Aruch LaNer. The dine Sukkah de pasach behu heim dine asiya Sukkah. We're talking about over here in the beginning of Maseches Sukkah, the halachas of making the Sukkah. That's what we're discussing. The halachas of making it. Right? Now, that is included in the mitzvah of Chag HaSukkah's Tasa. The halachas of making the sukkah come before the Daled Minim. Right? Think about it. What do we do first? We make the sukkah. You got to make the sukkah. So therefore, since we're physically building the sukkah first, therefore, when it comes to the actual halachas, aka the Mishnah, the Gemara, the Torah, the Shulchan Aruch, the Rambam, which are all halachas, essentially, if you look at it in a very just zoomed out view, therefore, the halachas of Sukkah come first. Furthermore, the mitzvah of Sukkah, the Nachlas actually uses a similar answer we discussed many years ago. The mitzvah of Sukkah applies, the obligation hits us first, hits us earlier. The mitzvah of Sukkah is bein bayoim, bein balayla. It also applies at night. Unlike the mitzvah of Daled Minim, which is only lakachtim bayoim harishon, only during the day. Oh, very good, very good. It is perfect setup for the next piece. This is almost like we plan this in advance. It's almost like we're actors over here, right? So that's Aruch LaNer. Now comes the Yerech and says, wait a second. And what's pshat? Why does it say in the Torah first the Daled Minim? According to that, it should say in the Torah, Kedaisha, should say Sukkah first also. Rav Shlomo Kluger, he's already bothered by this in a Sefer Kilas Yaakov on Sukkahs. Take a look over there in Joshua Zion. He's already bothered by this as well. So we have to try to figure out what's pshat in the Torah then. What's pshat in Chumash? So let's zoom out a little bit. He says, he references, look at Maimer Yuda Aleph earlier. He doesn't quote the Os. Now, I'll tell you, it's an Os Hey over there. He addresses this and he says like this. We know from the Medrash Rabbah that the Dal and Minim symbolize on a deeper level that we were victorious in our din. Also, the mitzvah of sukkah alludes to this concept that we are victorious in our judgment. Yes, Rabbi Kluger. So then, why is the mitzvah of Dal and Minim come before the mitzvah of sukkah? Right? We fulfill the mitzvah of sukkah first at night. So he bases it on a Zohar, and he says that sukkah is only for Klal Yisrael. And he says, according to that, the Torah says the mitzvah of Dal and Minim before the mitzvah of sukkah to teach us that first we have the Dal and Minim, and through the Dal and Minim we're Zoicha to be the Am Hashem, and then via through the Dal and Minim we are able to demonstrate our victory in din against the Kitrugim of the Umos HaOlam, like the Medrash relates. And then only subsequently, when we have the mitzvah of Dal and Minim, after we perform the mitzvah of Dal and Minim, can we then perform the mitzvah of Sukkah, which is designated specifically for Klal Yisrael, because they're Chelak Hashem v'Nachal Asoi. So therefore, according to that, it makes sense that the mitzvah of Sukkah comes over there in that order. Right? Makes sense. That's basically his answer over there. And he says, so basically you need the Dal and Minim, which is mentioned in Chumash first, to get to Sukkah. But really, Sukkah is the thing that's special for Klal Yisrael. Now, in the footnote over here, he quotes a Mishnah Brura, well-known Mishnah Brura in Siman Tov Reish Nun Aleph Sifkat and Lamed Daled, where the Arizal says to shake the Dal and Minim in the Sukkah. And many people do this before they go to Shul. They'll macha bracha in the Sukkah with the Dal and Minim, and they'll shake it over there. Why? What's the shaykhus between Daled, Minim, and Sukkah? So there's a lot of different mahalchim over here. And one idea is that we see that these two mitzvahs are interconnected together, that when we take the lulav, that shows that we are a chelak of Hashem, and through the mitzvah of Sukkah, we have the Hashra Shechina, and then through that, when we're chelak Hashem, we have the Shechina dwelling over here in the Seladim Nemnusa. That is one mahalach. AKA, we need the Dal and Minim to get to Sukkah, but really Sukkah is more important, so to say, for specifically being the Yuchud to Klal Yisrael. Answer number 2, Rav Chaim Kanievsky comes along in his Sefer Taima Dekra in Parshas Emor over there on those psukim, and he says like this: Iri Techila Bekorbanos Beis Hamikdash. First, we're discussing the korbanos of the Beis Hamikdash. Lulav has a shaychus, a direct connection to the Beis Hamikdash, because the mitzvah is all 7 days. Samachtem of Hashem Lokechem Shivas Yamim. But Sukkah doesn't have as much as a shaychus to the Beis Hamikdash. So therefore, specifically in Chumash, when we're discussing Beis Hamikdash, also activities does Dal and Minim come first, which has more of a connection to the Beis Hamikdash and the Korbanos. That's another answer. And the Megala Muchkos also provides a similar answer as well. Similar concept, at least. Answer number 3 is based on something that he discussed actually previously in the Sefer in 2 different Ma'amarim, the 2 previous ones. And he says like this. There are 2 mitzvahs that we have over here, right? Chazal teach us that with Sukkah, as we already learned, we have Hashras Hashchina. The Shechina is able to come down onto planet Earth. Therefore, that's why the Sukkah has to halachically be more than 10 tvachim, 30 inches. Why? Because the Shechina cannot descend under 10 tvachim. However, the Sefer Chareidim and the Ramchal say that the Shechina cannot dwell among Klal Yisrael when there is period, when there's a disconnect between Yidden. There has to be Achdus. And that's why the Churban of the Beis HaMikdash occurred. The second one was because of Sinas Chinam, Lashon Hara, basis hatred. And therefore, in order that we could be Zoicha for the Shechina to come down over here into our Sukkos, right, the Nachlas forgot to mention, takes that idea, and he says that's why Yontif is called Sukkos, because it's constant, the mitzvah of Sukkah, not Dal and Minim. It's whether day or at night. We're going to post Dal and Minim only during day. But anyways, coming back to this piece, the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed. Just remind me, I forgot to just mention that a few minutes ago. So therefore, in order to be Zoicha for the Shechina to come down into our sukkahs, we needed to be that Klal Yisrael has a tremendous amount of Achdus. Therefore, we were given the mitzvah of Daled Minim, because through this mitzvah of Daled Minim, it symbolizes all the 4 different types of Jews coming together, right? The Esrog has the good smell, the good taste. So that's corresponding to the Talmud Chacham who has Masim Tovim. The Ravos has neither that. So you wrap them all together and then everyone helps everyone else out. That's the idea over here. Right? That's the idea over here. Sikta Zutra, the Veikra, but they all mention. So therefore, we have to be Ba'aguda Achas. And so they got the name from Aguda, the shul. Right, so that's the idea. We have to be one group. So based on this, we could answer the question that we asked before. Why is Daled Minim first? Right, the answer is that we can't fulfill the mitzvah of the Daled Minim before Sukkah. Right. However, the concept, meaning in terms of from a time perspective, right. Sukkah hits us first, that obligation, as we said before. Nevertheless, inyono shel mitzvah, the concept, the idea of the mitzvah of Daled Minim comes before Sukkah. Why? Because the Daled Minim assists us, helps us get into the Sukkah, and more specifically, it helps bring the Shechina into the Sukkah. Because it helps tie us all together. And through us being tied together, so then we have the Shechina that could come to the Sukkah. Mameli Yeshleimer comes out that the halachas of Sukkah come before the halachas of Daled Minim in terms of the Mishnah, the Gemara, the Torah, Shulchan Aruch, the Rambam, etc. We should say Mishnah, Gemara, Rambam, Torah, Shulchan Aruch. But anyways, why? Because in terms of the halachas, the actual halacha l'mais, the fulfillment of the physical mitzvah. Regarding that, for sure, everyone agrees Sukkah comes first. Lamaisa, we're sitting in the Sukkah Lel Rishon. No one's arguing there. Is anyone shaking Daled Minim Lel Rishon? No. So therefore, the actual halachas, those for sure come first. Why in Chumash did the Daled Minim come first? Simple. That's because the Torah wants to allude to this concept. This concept that the Shechina can only come into the Sukkah if we have the Achdus, which is symbolized with the Daled Minim. That gets expressed through the Daled Minim. Bringing everyone on the same page, keeping the Torah and the mitzvahs. And only once we have that Achdus will we have the Hashras HaShechina in the actual Sukkah. So even though the Zman, the time of fulfilling the mitzvah of the Daled Minim, comes after Sukkah, meaning during the day, and Sukkah's at night. Nevertheless, when it comes to going into the Sukkah at night, we already need to have this intent. We have to have the intent, the focus on what the Daled Minim represent, and to get closer to one another, and to already get in the mental zone of Achdus, of Aguda Achas, when we go into the Sukkah, and then through that will the Shechina come. That is answer number 3. Answer number 4 is the last answer. This is great. Now, this is such a great question. I remember I learned this Aruch LaNer already years ago, but it doesn't explain the Aruch LaNer why in the Torah it's first. But this answer 3. This is legitimate.
The answer 3, yeah, that brings it home.
That brings it home. This answer.
Yeah.
It's glad.
But you need the halacha because you got to build the sukkah first before you get into the sukkah.
That was another answer.
And that was another answer.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah. Don't confuse the answers. It gets
not confusing the answer. But I'm just saying. One is why that's first here.
Yeah.
But it doesn't explain why it's not. It doesn't explain why it's
correct. That answer doesn't. Correct. That answer doesn't. That the answer of building it doesn't really explain lulav so much.
And lulav
doesn't. But it does. I mean, you have the korbanos business. That lulav is attached to korbanos, which. But the answer is whatever. This answer is really easy to understand. If you're gonna say one answer, this is the answer. This is it, because
now October 7th, Shmini Atzeres.
Oh yeah, for sure.
If you build on that, it's really Shmini Atzeres, our date.
For sure. So, but this brings home that because the mitzvah actually comes first Sukkah, but you need the Achdus, and that's what the Torah is alluding to. This makes sense. This is good hashkafa. Okay, now another answer is is based on a
Who says
short
that answer with the
Achtos. I think that he's Machadish's answer
Yes, it's
himself. He bases it on Chida and Ramchal, Sefer Charidim. He references two earlier Ma'amarim also. He references it. The truth is, these Ma'amarim I learned a month ago. So I don't remember the two earlier Ma'amarim perfectly exactly what he's referencing. I'd have to look it up. I didn't even like this whole sefer. I just been learning through in order right now. Right now I'm at the end. I'm on Maimer Ayin Ches. So these Ma'amarim I didn't look at. I didn't even prepare. I just figured I'm gonna go through it. I remember the basic idea behind it. But so those two I don't have it perfect. But you look in the two previous. I'm sure you'll get better Makoros. But anyways. So he says another answer based on a Sror Hamor in Parshas Emor. Chav Gimel Mem. The mitzvah of Sukkah symbolizes a well-known idea that we leave our house, we go into the Sukkah, and we don't have any fear. We're not worried about anything. Why? Because after the atonement on Yom Kippur, the Kapar on Yom Kippur, so then we successfully left the Midas Hadin of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and therefore we have nothing to fear about anymore. Now, that's what the mitzvah now comes along the mitzvah of Dalin Minim, which the Tikkunia Zohar compares to going out to war and being victorious. We're holding the weapons, which show we're the ones walking at the end of the day. We have the weapons, spiritual weapons, and therefore we know that we're victorious. So too, we go out with our Dalin Minim after our Din V'Cheshbon on Yom Oraim. So that shows that we are victorious, and then we could go into our Sukkah fearless. That's the Suramor. So the Yesod of the Dvarim over here are as follows. The Seder Hayom says that the Dalin Minim are considered like weapons, so to say. They show that we are under the Hashkacha Pratis of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem is paying attention to us very carefully on everything that we do. These Dalin Minim are the four types of growths in this world, plants, which what we call has no officer over them. Hashem didn't basically appoint an officer to say, make sure that they grow. Hashem himself focuses on these Dalin Minim on the Esrog Lulav Arabos and Adasim to make sure that they grow perfectly. They have the direct focus of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and his Hashkacha Pratis. So too, Klal Yisrael, we are the Am Hanivchar. We have the direct Hashkacha Pratis of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We have a Shmira Miyuchedis from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And therefore, we know that we're going to be untouchable. We're going to be here forever, for eternity. Right? The biggest nace the Abed said is our existence. Mighty kingdoms, they've come and gone. We're here. Based on this, we could tie it back into the Seder of the Psukim and the Torah. Dalin Minim is first. Why? The mitzvah of Sukkah hits us first. We're obligated in the mitzvah of Sukkah first. We're sitting in the Sukkah before we're shaking the Dalin Minim. Nevertheless, the concept, the Inyono Shel Mitzvah Lulav comes first. The concept of the Dalin Minim comes first. Why? Because only once we take the Dalin Minim on our hand, which demonstrates that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has a direct Hashkacha Pratis over us. He's watching us everly, so careful in every single act that we're doing. We have the divine providence watching us, and he is protecting us from all sorts of enemies. So only then are we fitting to go inside of the Sukkah in a fearless way. That once we contemplate what the Dalin Minim symbolize, aka the Hashkacha Pratis of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, will we have an awakening, will we be misoirer and acknowledge the fact, that Hashem is protecting us and everything that we do has a Hashkacha Pratis over us, the divine providence, and then can we sit in the shade of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Seled Nemnusa, the shade of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, with that bitachon? So that's what the Dalin Minim symbolize. So therefore, even though the mitzvah of Dalin Minim gets fulfilled actually after the mitzvah of Sukkah, nevertheless, the Torah says the Dalin Minim first to hint, to allude to this concept, and to teach us that we are obligated to contemplate the depths behind Dalin Minim, aka the Hashkacha Pratis of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and only once we contemplate that can then we enter into the Sukkah with full bitachon on the Hashkacha Pratis of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and that he's taking care of everything.
How did the Dal minim show the hashgacha pratis?
Because the Dalan minim is like the kli milchama when we
so
come out
that
of the
goes
war,
back to the kli
which is the
milchama that
Hashem is
and it helped us be victorious
correct.
against the chataim and the...
Correct.
Okay, that's it. Okay, got it.
Okay.
Wait,
Right,
what
sorry.
these plants? I understand.
Yeah. What?
What about these plants? These plants, the what's the dominion? What's the word? The dominion.
Yeah, that's the Seder Hayom in Kavanas Halulav the Agudah. So he also adds that in the Dalaminim of the Hashgacha Pratis of Hashem, because he didn't appoint a Malach or a Sar to watch these Dalaminim to make sure they go. Hashem himself make sure that the Dalaminim go. Another point bringing home the Hashgacha.
What's an example of a
Yeah.
plant that has like a? What's the example of a plant that has like a?
Every other
Anyway.
plant has a Sar or a
Yeah.
Malach.
All right.
Yeah, likewise.
I have a question about tashluch. We're supposed to say it before Yom Kippur, right? Now we don't. Some say Mohammed is okay or no?
What about Tashlich?
We can say it when should we say
best to do it as soon as possible. Don't tell it. He's reason Makdimin.
All right, but and what about saying it? Is there any time we shouldn't say it at night or what?
What, Tashlich?
In the dark?
At night?
Yeah.
Oh, Tashlich at night? I don't think there's an issue of doing it at night. I don't think that there's a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Good question. Okay.
All
All right.
right, fine.
All right. Have a wonderful day. Go to.
Me too.